Dong.
What's up, Holmes? So, Dave said make a video, and here I am making a video. Yes, last night I had to listen to the old, well, it's not old, it's brand new, TFYTC Modcast podcast, which, if you're not on the YouTube page, I know there'll be a couple of you watching, thinking of Mantis especially, who might like to listen to that. It should be up on YouTube, apparently, I think, sometime soon, so anyone can have a listen to it. It is on like SoundCloud at the moment, and it's like the only way I know how to get onto it now is to go through the link that's on the Facebook page, but whatever. Basically, Smuzno and James Monkey Zen and Brad and Stu all had a chat for more than an hour, which was a bit longer than I would really have liked, just about what's going on the page and what's new and what videos people liked and sort of topics of discussion, very much expanding on like what Dorian's recent video was like about support your local YouTuber, and that was a nice thing to listen to, and it certainly got me thinking, yes, okay, it's time, let's just stick the camera and have a waffle. Why not? Why not? You know, you can't expect, you know, even me anymore to be putting out videos every week because I just don't have the money to be buying something new every week. But that's changed a bit now because I earned a little bit of dough, and so of course I went and spent on some robots, didn't I? So I'm actually going to do a proper twit for you this time and show you what I got this week, although I think one thing I got last week, but who gives a monkeys about that? Let's start off with the first bot I got since Auto Assembly. Little RID Legends Ultra Magnus. He's just a white prime, really, isn't he? Yeah. I've got to say, I'm not feeling a lot when I look at this thing. I was very much like, I've got money in my pocket, I want to use it on a robot. I was in Tesco's and was like, well, everything here is pretty pants. But the idea of a little tiny repainty Ultra Magnus lad was quite nice. He seemed like the best little Legion guy there at the time, and I'm kind of thinking that I really don't need any more tiny Optimuses or Bumblebees, so I will go for their repaints, and Ultra Magnus here is quite a nice repaint of Prime. I mean, it's a nice sort of spin on the old Magnus look, where he's kind of mostly white and he's got a little bit of red, and it's kind of half and half, where he's like inside and outside the shell, as it were. So I think that's alright. I'm always up for sort of taking brand new looks for characters, giving them mostly reminiscent of something old deco and slapping that old name on there. It's a bit like when they painted Armada Overload into Energon Ultra Magnus. That's what this kind of reminds me of. It's mostly Ultra Magnus, but it's not really any specific kind of one, and blah blah blah. He's tiny and hardly moves, and has a really interesting transformation actually for something this small. Kind of turns inside out and upside down and everything. But he just only looks any good standing there like that in that pose, in a kind of power stance, because you can get his kind of hips out a bit and his legs back, and he just looks like power. But you go and pose him and it's just a bit boring because his arms just do that and go out, and he looks a bit odd. So £7. No, yeah, £7, not really very well spent on him, but he's something, and I'm very aware that I really should have bought more of these little guys because they are really good, and I'm all about these tiny fellas. And you know, when it's been like a year since we had any decent new ones, I should be snapping more of these up, but it really is the price just putting me off. So there you go. Tiny Ultra Magnus, the small Ultra Mango. Yeah, he's okay, but nothing to shout about. Moving on to something which is much more conducive of almost a review, although I you know, a couple of the guys on the Facebook page said, "Oh, do a review about him," and I was like, well, I haven't found that narrative seed in this figure yet that would flourish into, you know, a full-blown review, like something funny or some particular character point or some little detail that I can talk about at length. I just haven't found it on this, so let's go ahead and just waffle about it for a bit in a kind of nondescript fashion in a twit. It's Combiner Wars Mirage. This is the first Limbot I got since First Aid at AA, and you know, this Wave 4 lot have been around for a little while now, and I've been totally not that bothered about getting them. It's like, oh, they're the new things, but they're all repaints, and they're not really overly Combiner guys, and it's like, yeah, I like new figures of like Sunstreaker and Ironhide and all them, but I'm not really that fussed about rushing out to get them, and So I guess I just thought, well, I've got a bit of money, I might as well chuck some at Kapow for a new lad, and I thought, who shall I get? Let's just get Mirage because I like F1 cars. I mean, yeah, I could do with a new Ironhide. I could do with a figure of Sunstreaker. I could do with a nice Prowl, but I'm very aware that one of the last Limb guys I got was Streetwise, and he's pretty much the same thing as Prowl. So I thought, let's have Mirage. He's blue and he looks cool. He's an F1 car, and noom. I can have him rolling around with drag strip going meow, and I do quite like him. I've got to say, as soon as I took him out the box, I was a little bit like, oh, he doesn't feel as good as drag strip, and he doesn't, like, the combiner peg thing is a bit janky compared to his, and some of the joints are really tight because there's like paint in like where his legs are done here, the white on his thighs. That's paint, and it goes inside his knee. It makes this knee especially really tight, and it's like, yeah, I'm unseating the sliding mechanism when I go and move it, and that feels bad, and I don't like that, and it makes it bad for being an arm because that would be the combiner elbow, and yeah, not great. But I've got to say, he's really quickly grown on me quite a bit because this deco is just, it's nice. It's so just crisp and bright with all the nice, really nice sharp white against all this lovely blue, and then little bits of silver and red here and there. He looks great, and the head sculpt is proper nice too. It's like really properly Mirage with a little bit of a modern like twist of an extra couple of angles, and that's never a bad thing, is it? So yeah, I really like him, and I've taken a couple of nice pictures of him and drawn a picture of him, and it's like, yeah, very quickly this has obviously had some kind of visual impact on me because it's like I just enjoying the aesthetics of this thing. It's actually my first big kind of proper Mirage. The only other Mirages I've got are like the Armada Minicon and the RD Spy Changer and that red tiny sideways that was kind of the Dark of the Moon one but wasn't in Dark of the Moon, it was in like a Prime packaging or something. Yeah, this is my first proper Mirage. Didn't get the Classics one because I got Drag Strip instead. So no, it feels good. I'm okay with not having that bit be his chest because it looks alright, you know? You don't need to go for the big, massive kind of design distinguishing features with these 84 car guys. You just need to paint it up right, give them a proper noodle, and make sure they turn into the right kind of thing. And to be honest, I'm happy with that. Which is why I think I would certainly like the other guys of this wave, because Ironhide doesn't need to look just like that, and Prowl doesn't need to have wings on his back, and Sunstreaker doesn't need to have whatever his distinguishing feature is, or like the roof on his chest. I mean, yeah, I suppose they could have remoulded that, but whatever. I think they're all pretty cool, but I'm very aware that it's like, you know, now that we can look at what Combiner Wars is going to be for like on the whole, because now we've seen what all the last ones are going to be. Or, well, I hope they're not going to be the last ones. I hope there's some random reveal somewhere that's going to come out, but it looks like the Skylynx wave is going to be the last lot, and it's like, you can look back and think we've had like the big 5 teams in the aerial bots and Stunticons and Constructicons and Protectobots and Combaticons, and then everything else is just kind of random stuff, which is nice to just chuck in there. And I'm not really averse to, you know, it's like, you can look at the line at an angle where it's like, oh, if only all these waves of random Autobots and strange torso blokes like Cyclonus were actual combiner lads, then of course it would be a hell of a lot cooler. But at the same time, it's just a lot of fun, you know? It's like, I haven't had a new figure of G1E Mirage since 2007, and it's like, it's a nice little bonus way of saying, okay, have a new toy of Mirage, but we're not devaluing that old Classics one we did because this one's a combiner and he's kind of been taken down a peg, and you know, you've had some of the detail and stuff taken out of him so he can be a combiner, but again, it's a bit of a bonus because he can combine if you want him to. So I think there's a lot of fun in these just extra random combiner lads aren't supposed to be, see my air quotes, supposed to be combiners. So yeah, I think we'll be able to look back at Combiner Wars and just think, yeah, that was really fun, you know? Yeah, we could have got some more combiner teams, but you know, having the big 5 main combiner guys, that's something that we couldn't have even dreamed of 2 years ago. So, you know, probably head out your bum and realise that Combiner Wars is actually something that's really good, and stop complaining about repaints, because for one thing, we wouldn't be able to have this line without repaints because, you know, all of this new tooling, all of these different combiner things is expensive for Hasbro to do. And if you want to end up paying like an extra $5 for figures just to have all that, you know, new tooling and all that, then I don't know, be my guest, but I don't want to. So I'm good with Combiner Wars as it is, I guess. Yeah, it feels like there's a bit too much fluff in there in terms of these guys, but I like what we've got. You know, you set it all out on a table like I do have right now behind the camera, and it's a lot of stuff, and it's like, yeah, okay, it's pretty fair that half of it is repaints and there's only like 4 different torso moulds, and yeah, there's probably only about 10 different limbs, but it's cool because if you want all that asymmetry in a combiner, which is a nice visual touch with having all the different arms and legs made out of different vehicles kind of smudged together into a humanoid shape, which is the kind of hallmark of a good combiner, that's fun, that's cool. But if you want, you can go down the symmetrical route and you can have some matching stuff going on in a silhouette, and that's cool, and you're only going to get that with repaints. So it's like with this lad, I can turn him into a leg, and then you can sort of fold that bit back down, if you like, stick the foot on there, and because I've already got Dragstrip, who does the same thing, you can go and chuck him on a combiner and give him like extra long legs, and that's a nice touch. You know, you only get that with being able to use 2 of the same mould here and all that kind of thing. And you know, I can make something which is kind of symmetrical, not in colour, because you know each of those limbs is a different colour, but you've got 2 helicopters and 2 F1 cars, and there's a kind of dynamic there which is kind of nice if you like that sort of thing, if you like a combiner to be symmetrical, which is a touch which I quite like, just as much as I like them being asymmetrical. So, I don't know, it's just nice to have options really at the end of the day, isn't it? So, yeah, Combiner Wars is a bit of a bummer because it's chock full of repaints. And everyone's like, oh, I don't want more repaints, I don't want more versions of that flipping helicopter or anything like that. But really, it's a bit of a blessing in disguise, because once you do actually just punch through that barrier of having to pay for something you've already bought, then you can enjoy a combiner with the kind of visual attributes that you wouldn't get otherwise, and just have a bit more fun with the whole mix and match thing like you're supposed to do. Because really, who just leaves Superion as he is? I don't. I've had him full of blokes that are red and white. Like I had Blades here, you know, and make him all like unified colour scheme thing. Oh no, you shouldn't have Protectobots on there. Oh, who gives them monkeys? So as the autumn sun sets and the night draws in and everything is getting a bit darker in here now, I'm going to sort of sign off and say maybe just go and stick the camera on and waffle about something you feel like waffling about. Like, I mean, this was an episode of Twit, but it was also a bit of a waffle about what I think about repaints in Combiner Wars, and you know, maybe just pick up whatever new thing you bought. I mean, I know, like Stu said, the new thing that he bought isn't really worth doing a whole video about, but I mean, it's like, that's not worth doing a whole video about. Do something on a camera, have some fun. I don't really want to be that guy who's saying, get the ball rolling, because I'm not really rolling with it very much, am I? But yeah, enjoy your combiner, lads, because I failed to mention that apparently this lot are in Toys R Us now, but my nearest one's like an hour's drive away, so I'll never see them in time to buy them for $11.99 when I spent $15.99 on this. So maybe go and give that TFYTC Modcast a listen if you feel like wasting an hour listening to those lads waffle on about stuff. And I should see you soon, because I've got a little box coming to me from Mr. Paul Pooh, and that should be a nice fun thing to open on camera, because he's put a couple of surprises in there apparently. So stay tuned, and see you later. Get on, Tom!